Tank players who play non-shield tanks like The Thing need to stop blaming the support for lack of heals. If you are playing characters like The Thing into a full poke comp, it is your job to swap off The Thing rather than your support's job to heal you more. So in this game, I was playing Adam Warlock and I had a Thing on my team who was constantly blaming me and telling me to swap off Adam because he felt like he was not getting enough heals and that Adam was supposedly not the best pick here in this comp. I played Adam Warlock on the first half on attack, but then I swapped to Rocket Raccoon because this guy kept on complaining on defense. I'm gonna mostly focus on my Adam Warlock gameplay because I know I did a lot of work, but it was underappreciated and unnoticed, and my team blamed me thinking that I was the problem when in reality, I was actually doing, I think, the most on the team. So we start off on attack and I go for a flank and I immediately get a pick onto the enemy invisible woman. After that, a few people chase me, which means there are less people on my team because they are focusing me. As you can see, I have both the Wolverine and the Mantis on me, which means not only did I take out the invisible woman, but I have 2 people on me, which means 3 people, which means somehow my team is losing to only 3 enemies. And it's at this point that my Mantis on my team tells me that I should be sticking with the team and I need to heal. Now that comment from that Mantis really annoyed me with how ridiculous it was, because we actually had 3 healers on the team. We had me on Adam, we had Luna Snow and them on Mantis. The enemy team only had 2 healers with Mantis and Invisible Woman. I know that there are people out there that delusionally think that strategists are always meant to stick with the team and always be killing the team. But at the end of the day, if we really break it down, the enemy team's Invisible Woman was picked off by me, which means the enemy team has no healing. No healing at all other than Mantis, which was on me. So the enemy team has no healing and my team somehow died in a 5v3. Let's let that sink in. 5 versus 3, my team still lost somehow. No, it's not on the Adam Warlock because I wasn't with them. It's on them that they got gapped in a 5v3. Thankfully, the spawn is very close for us, so we get to still push the payload. And from here, I go on an off angle to try and make some picks. This is when my team starts to fall apart and crumble. Both my supports die, my tank dies, and I am forced to back off. The enemy DPS get a little confident and try to chase me down, but they cannot kill me because of my self-sustain on Adam Warlock, and I do a pretty decent amount of damage onto them. That's when my Bucky comes in to ult them and finish them off. The enemy Mantis is also there chasing us down, and she uses her ultimate after her team dies. So me going on an off angle and Adam baited the enemy team to come to me, making them very low, and our team gets to wipe them because they have overextended, and it made the Mantis, the enemy Mantis, use her ult and wasting it. And then after this, because our team respawns sooner and is closer, we get to snowball and push the payload all the way to the first point. I just want to take a moment right now to highlight the fact that scoreboards and healing numbers don't mean everything in a game, and they don't paint the whole picture of a game. As you all saw in the first 2 fight/ clips, I pressured the enemy team a lot by getting a pick on the Invisible Woman at the very start and baiting a lot of people into me, which made my team have more numbers, making a 5v3, etc. I also baited the enemy DPS onto me, did a lot of damage to them, and that let my Bucky finish them off with their ultimate. You're not really gonna see that in the endgame scoreboard because really I only did around like 100 and 200 damage to those DPS characters. And I didn't get a final hit because the Bucky was the one that got the final hit. It's not going to show on the scoreboard, but that was really the Adam Warlock's work. It wasn't really the Bucky, it was the Adam Warlock. But if you're so focused on numbers, like not enough healing, no final hits, no damage, you're not going to see the full picture. Now on the second point, we were able to push the payload pretty quickly. I went on some off angles and I got a kill on the Hela all by myself. And again, I always say this, if the enemy team is dead, you take less damage. I killed the Hela, which means Hela is doing 0 damage, which means my team takes less damage and therefore does not need as much healing. We keep pushing in, I do a lot of damage to the enemy group and I end up killing him. Now it's at this point that one of my tanks on The Thing dies for the 5th time, and I made a mistake on rezzing him in the open, which got me killed. I was very on the fence on whether or not I wanted to res, and I took so long to decide that I ended up doing a very bad res, which got me killed. So that is my fault. That's my bad. However, my tank playing the Thing is not the play. It is not the character in this comp at all. By the time I revive and get out of the base, my tank on the Thing has his 6th death. 6th death. No one even comes close to his deaths on a team. He is literally inting and feeding on his Thing, and he does not realize it. It's at this point that he blames me, asking me to swap off my Adam because he doesn't like the healing, when in reality, it's actually his tank pick. The Thing is horrible against a full poke comp. They have Moon Knight and Hela. Yes, they have Wolverine, and the Thing does counter Wolverine. However, he was not on the Wolverine ever. I did not see him go onto the Wolverine at all. So what is the point of the Thing? You're playing this tank to counter Wolverine, but you're never hitting the Wolverine. So what are you doing other than just feeding and dying, which he clearly is doing with his 6 deaths? And just so everyone knows, the Thing is not a good character. He is a good anti-dive character if you're versing lots and lots of divers, not just one, if you're versing multiple dive characters. But the Thing is actually one of the worst tanks right now in high elo. The Thing has the lowest win rate out of all the tanks with his 46% win rate in Grandmaster Plus. He drops down to 45% win rate in Celestial and 1 above all ranks. These are the times that really grind my gears when I am playing support. The reason why this Thing is dying constantly and inting is because he has no shield. It's not because he's not having enough healing because there's an Adam Warlock on the team. And this is a big problem with people constantly listening to all these tier list videos, all these streamers, all these TikTokers, YouTubers, without thinking for themselves. They just hear streamers and TikTokers, YouTubers liking a character, and then they just run with it thinking that they could do no wrong. Yes, the Thing is good. Only against dive characters, a full dive comp. He is not good into Hela. He is not good into Moon Knight. He is not good into poke. He literally feeds ult charge and dies constantly. Anyways, to continue on, in the next fight, a lot of ultimates break out and our team starts losing. This is when I get a pretty good res, and then we start to snowball from there. I get some pretty good kills on the Adam Warlock, and that lets us cap the point. Now in this fight, I just want you to focus on the Thing on my team and just ask yourself, like, what is he really doing for my team? I know it might be a little bit hard to see, but you really have to ask yourself, what is this Thing even achieving for the team? And I don't mean, oh, he's soaking up damage, he's punching people. That is obvious. We can see that he's punching people and taking damage. I'm more asking, what is the end goal? Is he getting kills? Is he really applying pressure? Is he stopping the Wolverine? What is he really doing for the team other than just being a meatbag? Because throughout this whole entire match, I don't feel like he did anything and I don't see him doing anything. Now, I might be wrong. He might have like something different on his point of view, but I really don't think he did anything other than feeding ult charge. And yes, I could have played a different support that had more healing and I could have pocketed him. But that doesn't change anything. That wouldn't make him do more. Sure, he can have more healing, but what's that gonna do? He's gonna punch more? He's not killing anything. He's not really stopping the Wolverine. So what would healing him even achieve? So on the third point, we were able to push him pretty quickly again because we were able to snowball and push them all the way into the base. They could not leave their base, and by the time they did, the payload was already near the end. From here, it's a little bit of a back and forth fight until the enemy Jeff eats 2 people and jumps off the map. This is when I ult and get a good res countering the enemy Jeff ult, and then I get some kills, whether it be on an off angle or just playing with my team. We unfortunately do not push the payload to the end. This fight had so many elements going on, and I want to break it down. Number 1 is that people need to start admitting that Adam Ultimate is actually useful. Yes, it is really nice to have a big AoE healing ultimate like Lunar Snow, Cloak and Dagger, etc. But there are some things you cannot out-heal. You cannot out-heal a Jeff ultimate. You cannot out-heal an Iron Man ultimate or a Wonder ultimate. they instantly kill you. And yes, I know that you can play Cloak and Dagger and fade your team from all that danger, but you're not always going to be in that perfect position or even have the cooldowns to do that all the time. Number 2 is that I did get some kills on the enemy healers or DPS, which means the enemy team has less healing and less damage. There are a lot of people out there that do not like Adam's lack of healing, but at the end of the day, if that enemy Loki is dead, that means the enemy Loki is doing 0 healing. And number 3, breaking down this team fight, our Thing, who swapped off to Doctor Strange, now has 9 deaths, which makes him the most deaths out of everyone in this entire lobby so far. That is not good at all. And the really frustrating and annoying thing is that he has the audacity to still blame me on my Adam Warlock when I am the ace. I am the SVP of that round. Actually, I wasn't even SVP for the round, I was SVP for the whole entire game. Like I said at the start of the video, I swapped off to Rocket Raccoon because this person kept on complaining about lack of heals, so I was like, whatever, I'm just gonna play Rocket Raccoon for him. I was pretty much heal butting on Rocket Raccoon throughout that whole entire match, and guess what? I was SVP the whole entire game, and I had 10 final hits, which all came from my Adam Warlock. It did not come from my Rocket. I didn't even kill anyone on Rocket. This all came from my Adam Warlock on the first attack. I had the same amount of final hits as my other DPS characters and the person that was on the Thing who then swapped off to DPS. My 10 final hits came from the first half when I was playing Adam Warlock on attack. Their 10 final hits came from the whole entire game of playing DPS and the Thing and whatever. Make it make sense. It is not the Adam's fault that you get gapped. He did not do anything. He played Mystery Hero, Thing, Venom, Phoenix, Mantis, Storm, Strange, and only he could get 10 final hits. He didn't do anything. This game was insanely frustrating, especially knowing the fact that this tank player who was on the Thing really truly thought that he was doing fine and he was playing perfectly, but it was just the Adam Warlock not healing him enough. At the end of the day, he is playing the Thing into a poke comp and just completely being useless and inting. You need to play a shield tank and not play the Thing. The Thing is only good against dive comp, and if you're not playing him in dive comp, you are feeding, you are inting. If you're a tank player and you're playing non-shield characters and you're constantly dying, it is on you to swap off to a shield tank.